What's up, everybody? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the Mcfarlane Toys Spawn Deluxe Spawn with Throne. This is a figure that I think at this point is maybe the closest thing that we're going to get to a traditional Spawn outside of the Kickstarter Spawn that I did pick up. You can check out the review if you want to. But this, I think, for a lot of people was that traditional Spawn. Now, there's points of contention with like how traditional you want to go with this, because he's essentially supposed to be sitting in the throne. He doesn't have to be for that sole purpose, but if you're going to keep him the way he is in package, or out of package, excuse me, then you're probably going to want him just kind of hanging out on his throne here. I've seen a lot of people taking off this plastic cape, because it is just one plastic piece on there. And it's to give the illusion that the cape is kind of flowing through and down under, because his cape has kind of got a mind of its own. It's kind of its own entity, you know. But the cape, I have seen people take the plastic one off and give it a third party. Those big, huge, like flowing capes are like $30. I think it, the price point. I think it's like a cape that comes with like chains and stuff. It might actually be less than $30. I think it's like around the $24-25 area, which is kind of the going rate for most custom anything nowadays, even for custom heads and stuff like that. So. But the figure itself, I went ahead and kind of repainted everything, and I'm going to kind of discuss that and touch on that towards the end of the video. But just starting off the video, like I said, I did custom paint this. This does not look like this out of package. There's a lot of details that I had to add, and I'll go through that, like I said. Putting that aside for a second, the Spawn figure right here, and you'll kind of have to excuse me. I got really bad allergies right now. It's allergy type of season right now for me. But so you'll have to excuse me. But the figure itself, I think, looks really good. He doesn't have any issues really standing, even though he's very, asymmetrical. He is not evened up. You can see the gauntlets are different. The boots are different. Obviously, he doesn't have the big flowing cape because, like I said, he's supposed to be sitting on that throne. But the figure, I think the way he's set up himself is really well done. He doesn't come with any extra hands or anything like that, so no really accessories other than the throne itself. No weapons, no extra chains or anything like that. And you will notice, and I've noticed as well, because I usually have him seated for, the majority of his, lifespan so far, that when you do have him seated, these chains don't want to stay down. They want to stay up just because that's where the legs are, and you're kind of pushing them up. Obviously, gravity will pull these back down, or you can just use some hot water, and that'll pull these back down. You can reform them. So that's just something to point out for people that do want to have him seated. I have these silly little dusty dog hairs all over my guy. But the figure itself looks really good. Just pulling him in really quick and taking a look at that head sculpt as he falls down. Taking a look at the head sculpt, I think it looks really good. I think they did a really good job on this. Very pleased with it overall. The eyes are green. It's like that nice subtle kind of green. The eyes are a little bit more sunken in than I was expecting, but it does look really good. Nice sculpt there. No issues or anything like that. The cape is on a separate piece. It's just plugged right into the back, so you don't have to worry about it falling off or anything like that. Like I said, if you did want to do a custom cape, you'll just have to depeg the cape from the back, which is right there on his backside, right there. But the head sculpt looks really good. Very pleased with it. And super, super happy with the sculpt. The sculpt also continues down the chest onto the lower torso piece with the sculpted chains and that skull right there. Flipping around to the back, we've got another skull on his backside. We've got some spawn buns, and both the gauntlets look really good. They're a rubbery type material for the gauntlets, so you don't have to worry about them stabbing or poking or prodding you or anything like that. Kind of annoying annoying you in any way. We've got this kind of ammo belt around his thigh, and then we've got the big old gargantuan boots, the kind of boot covers. You can't articulate his foot separately. It's very limited going up, obviously, just due to the sculpt of the boot and the way it is. And then this one pretty much has no restrictions at all, but we'll get to that in articulation. Overall, I would say sculpt really good. I think it would have been really cool if they could have included a cloth goods cape in the deluxe set with him, but the price point probably would have went up. You're already getting this, I think, for around anywhere from $35 to $40, depending on where you buy it, like a local comic shop, or if you're buying it online or wherever. But yeah, so you are getting essentially two pieces, and this is a very thick throne. Let me just point that out about the throne really quick. Very thickly molded throne that does come in separate pieces. As you can see, this is a piece right here. We've got another piece right here, here, and here. So it's a bunch of different separate pieces. You can also pull this off the top. That's a separate piece as well. So there's a lot of kind of pieces that are kind of pushed together. And I am starting to notice a little bit of separation in my throne, just a little bit. It's not anything that I'm really too worried about, because worst case scenario, if this thing did all separate, I could just glue it back together. It's not really the end of the world by any means. You will start noticing some breakup in the sculpt, like right here. That's kind of intrusive to the eyes, I guess you could say. But the throne itself, I think, is a really good sculpt. And like I said, I did go ahead and paint a lot of the details going on here, because essentially this, besides the skulls, and even the skull up here, that wasn't painted as well. I had to go ahead and paint that. But the skulls around the arms and over here were painted at a light shade of gray. Some skulls that are kind of hidden over here were painted in a light shade of gray. I went ahead and repainted all of those. And once you start like repainting, or if you do start to custom paint these, you will start to notice details within the sculpt that you are painting that do pop out even more. So after you paint them, like there's a whole engine block right here. There's a friggin' saw blade right here. There's a handle to a motorcycle. There's the AK-47 right here that's kind of in there. You've got bugs. You've got this big spinal column right here going up the top. You've got friggin' like hand grenades in here too. Where'd those hand grenades go? They're like right there. You can barely even see them, but they're right there if you check that out. So there's a bunch of them. There's like a cluster of them right in the top. Stuff that you didn't even see until you actually go ahead and paint them. But I think that's really cool that they added so much detail in here. Unfortunately, it just like really gets lost within that sculpt. You've got some like a axle right here. You've got some more like metal parts right here going throughout. You've got a tire right here, some more metal parts. You've got another engine block right there, more tires and skulls and stuff like that. So I went over this as best as I could. I'm going to include before and after photos. I think I only have one before photo from the front, but I'll include before and after photos of the front and back. Yeah, so that's it for the throne. There's nothing really else to it. If you did want to take this cape piece off, it just pegs in right here on the side, and then it also pegs in up top. So you'll just have to kind of pry the glue loose from there. So that's pretty much it for the throne. The figure itself, as far as his articulation does go, his head can swivel back and forth, and he can look up about that far. That's a little bit past neutral, and it's kind of really fighting me right there. His head can look down, though. He can pivot side to side. Let's see if he's got some jive turkeys. Oh, yeah, we got a little bit of gobble. So there's some jive turkeys for you. Arms go up about that far. They go down, swivel back and forth. He does have a butterfly joint, like most Mcfarlane figures do. He does have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, which is really good range of motion there, and double joints on both sides, so you can really get those arms sunken in. He also has a wrist swivel, and he does have a trigger kind of swivel or hinge joint at the the hand. So you can also swivel the wrist separately. So if you wanted to have him have a pistol grip, you could do that. Or if you want to swivel it again, and you could have him have vertical or lateral. For the diaphragm joint, he does pivot side to side. Really good range of motion in this kind of abdomen. You can get a really good crunch forward, and you can get a really good crunch back. A little bit of breakup in the scalp when you're crunching back, but you can pivot side to side, and you can also swivel up top, and you can swivel at the waist as well. You just kind of have to hold those together. You can do the splits really well. Legs go forward, legs go back. He doesn't really have too much of an upper thigh swivel, so there's not, it's kind of more of like an anatomically correct upper thigh swivel. It's a little limited. Double jointed knee. He can pointy toe. There's no boot swivel or anything like that, but he can also pointy heel, and he does have a ankle swivel and ankle pivot. So the ankle pivot is there. Much more limited on this side, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is because of the sculpt of the boot. But he can still pointy toe. He can't really point the heel too much. He does have toe articulation on both feet and a little bit of ankle rocker, obviously. But for the most part, he doesn't really have too many issues standing. So you shouldn't have an issue at all really getting him to stand or sit. I think he does both very well. So, okay, as far as the first round of size comparisons, we've got two Mcfarlane figures here, two DC figures, and we've got Ghostmaker on the right, and then we've got Kyle Rayner on the left. All right, next up, we've got two Marvel Legends. We've got Wolverine on the right, and we've got Shocker on the left. Next up, with some more size comparison goodness, we've got two G.I. Joe Classifieds figures. We've got Zartan on the right, and then Duke on the left. Okay, next up, we've got an SH Figuarts Darth Maul on the right, and then on the left, we've got the Mezco Nosferatu. All right, and last up, we've got two Jazzwares action figures. We've got Halo 2 Master Chief on the right, and then we've got Halo 4 Master Chief on the left. Okay, and just one more segment I wanted to talk about. If I could improve one thing to this figure, like I said, I would have included maybe a cloth goods cape, something to just kind of go with that option of having that true traditional Spawn, or at least the closest thing we can get to it. I know the boot technically is not as traditional or original design, but I would say to save some people a lot of secondary money, it would have been cool if they would have included that cape. But we all know how Mcfarlane likes to do his variants and stuff like that, and he likes to be very specific to maybe one or two panels sometimes for an action figure as far as artwork goes. But I think as far as the figure does articulate, there's some hindrances as far as what you can do with the posability for that his right ankle with that big boot kind of in the way. But I think as long as you kind of work within its limitations, you'll be perfectly fine. You can still get poses. You can get action poses, no problem. Other than that, I think he's really fun to kind of display, but you will definitely need a custom cape with him if you're going to display him in an action pose. Okay, so for my ranking segment, I'll say this is I would say after it's painted up, I would say this is definitely a 2 thumbs up. But that took me an hour worth of paint to do. And I did take my time with it. Probably could have taken me less if I would have, rushed through it. But I would say he's kind of a 1 thumb up. I would say for price point and the reason why I'm putting him like that, for price point and for one visual look, maybe this should have just been a statue more so than an action figure. Yeah, you have the option to take the cape off and buy another cape, but that really doesn't come with the figure, so I have to deduct some points for that. The throne itself looks really cool, but like I said, it is lacking a lot of paint. And when you buy it and you're paying that extra kind of price point for the throne, especially when you're seeing the, Batmo Beast that comes with a figure and it's $50, and then you're paying $40 for this. $10 more and you get a whole vehicle and a figure. With this, you're just getting a figure and a throne that doesn't have as much detail. So I gotta be honest, I gotta be true to my nature, and as is in box, I'll give it a 1 thumb up. And here's what Spawn looks like in the throne, and like I said, I love it now. I think it's even that much better. And I just spend about an hour of my time just kind of finding out the details and having fun with it too. That's the best part about painting, customizing in any which way. Make sure that you're having fun, so it's not just like a chore, you know. It starts feeling like a chore, maybe stop what you're doing and reassess. But yeah, we got the Green Lanterns all looking at this. Kyle's over here just staring at it like, oh, it looks so good. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed the Deluxe Spawn with his throne, his garbage throne, I guess you could call it, figure review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you guys on the flip side.